You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marchegiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. We have a phenomenal guest back in the flesh. We are live here on YouTube. We got Keith Norris, co-founder of Paleo FX, also co-founder of the Keto FX Summit, which is live now. So if you have not subscribed yet, click below in the description. There'll be a link for you. If you're listening on a podcast as well, just click that link and you're good. Lots of good knowledge bombs that will be dropped over the next 2 weeks. The summit just started yesterday, and we got some videos going out daily. So make sure you grab it so you get that drip, drip, drip in the inbox every day. Love it. So Keith, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Justin, it's great to be on, man.
Love it. Love it. Well, I was excited to be a part of this summit. I know we chatted last month, and I know my talk will be coming up on February 6th. So any of my listeners, make sure you subscribe so you're ready for my talk next week. And anyone listening to this show right now, give us a big thumbs up. Give us a big share. Again, a lot of people don't quite have their arms wrapped around ketosis and ketogenic diets, and this is the best summit that's going to bring in all of the experts all across the world to get you some bite-sized information so you can start applying this and getting your health better.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting information out there, Justin. As you know, I mean, we see this. We see a lot of the information that we're like, I don't know where you got that, but that's not exactly that's not the ketogenic diet. But I interviewed 20 experts, 20 of them, and I mean, if you're interested in the ketogenic diet, if you're interested for health reasons, for body comp reasons, for control of seizures reasons, I mean, if you have cancer, if someone in your family needs help, there's something for everybody in this package.
I love it. And today we're going to just chat about like kind of your top 3 to 5 favorite things that you learned, because you were interviewing all these people. And again, this is not limited to all the other goodies, but kind of 3 to 5 things that resonated with you. So we were talking pre-show, talking about some of the radiation, Don D'Agostino spoke yesterday on the summit, and we talked about some of the radiation components and how ketogenic diets are radiation protective. Can you go into that for the listeners?
Yeah, well, Dom can go into it a hell of a lot better than I can, totally. But I can give you the 30,000 foot flyby.
Yeah.
So Dom and I were at NASA a couple years ago. We were at a roundtable, and that roundtable discussion was about how to keep astronauts safe and healthy on an extended period in zero gravity conditions or limited gravity conditions. And this is all about sending astronauts to Mars. What we currently know right now is we can keep astronauts fairly safe for, up to a year, but they degrade rapidly. And even after a year, they degrade pretty far. And why do they degrade? Obviously, they're in zero gravity conditions, and there's muscle wasting. There's bone loss. There's even brain volume loss during this time. So how do we prevent that? So I was at that round table talking about eccentric exercise being a big boon for astronauts. Dom was talking about using the ketogenic diet to keep astronauts healthy. And there's a number of reasons why. Number one, it's muscle sparing, right? So that's a big plus. But
Huge.
one of the biggest pluses is the fact that it's protective against the onslaughts of radiation. And what a lot of people don't realize is these astronauts are just succumb to an immense amount of radiation. So much so that the talk within NASA is to send up astronauts who are a little bit older and maybe beyond childbearing years.
Really?
Yes. So because they are inundated with so much radiation. Well, the ketogenic diet is actually protective of healthy cells against the onslaughts of radiation. And Dom obviously goes into the science of all this. I'm not the science guy, but he goes into the science of why that works. But then the trickle-down effect of that is people who are undergoing radiation treatment for cancer, for instance. So there's a twofold benefit with the ketogenic diet as it pertains to cancer. Number one, if someone is going through radiation treatment is essentially a carpet bomb of all cells, right? And it just, so there's a lot of collateral damage during that process of healthy cells that get killed. The ketogenic diet is very, very protective of those healthy cells.
Interesting. Let's talk about the go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. And I was also going to say that just about every cancer out there feeds off of glucose, right? So if you starve the body of glucose utilizing the ketogenic diet, that's the flip side of that. So that also aids in the treatment of cancer. So that was one very, very interesting topic that we discussed.
Absolutely. And then also neurologically, a lot of the brain cells, they run off of glucose to a certain degree, but as you get more insulin resistant, meaning your cells get more numb to that hormone insulin, then the brain, certain parts of the brain have a problem utilizing that glucose fuel. So getting some of those ketones up can help wake up some of those brain cells that have not been able to access glucose. And also the plaque that forms in the brain from inflammation, the enzyme, insulin-degrading enzyme, is really important cleaner for cleaning up that plaque. And if you're too busy making insulin, then your body's dealing with the metabolism of insulin versus the metabolism of the plaque in your brain. Can you chat? Did you go into any of those neurological aspects with Dom at all too?
Yeah, Dom did as well. And, I would hate to try to butcher what he would.
Totally.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that's super, super interesting about this. And this comes back to what our plates actually look like when we eat.
Yeah.
So NASA is very interested in this diet as well, because you can't imagine, like, to send my cell phone into space, that's an astronomical cost. And
really?
It's astronomical, the amount of fuel that it requires to send something in orbit. So if you can cut essentially the amount of food that you're sending up into orbit, that's a massive, it's a space save, and B, it's a massive money save too. And Dom went through the calculations when we were at NASA, and it's almost 2 SUVs full of material that they would save sending into space if they had these guys and gals on a full ketogenic diet during the round trip. That's a massive savings, right? But then you ask, okay, so what? That's a big savings. But what do our plates look like when we actually have them in front of us, right? That's all of that is saying that the fat carries twice the caloric punch than protein or carbohydrates do. So the volume that you actually consume, and this is actually one of the big benefits that I find, is the volume of food that I eat is so small. I don't have that, I just ate, 5 pounds of food in my stomach feeling. I love that empty feeling in my stomach because I'm active all day. I don't like that bloated, I just ate 5 pounds of spaghetti feeling in my stomach. I don't have that anymore.
100%. And then also the fact that ketones have a natural appetite suppression type of effect. So it really hits those satiation signals in the transverse lateral part of the hypothalamus that signals satiation, which is great. And we know carbohydrates typically don't have that signal, especially refined ones. That's why, everyone can go back to their college days where they maybe ate a whole pizza to themselves, or think back to the Pringles commercials of the 90s, right? Where it's, once you pop, you can't stop, right?
That's right. Rob Wolf went into this to a great degree, talking about how food manufacturers manipulate our wiring, our dopamine, and, our dopamine response to food. He even gives a great example of an eating contest, right? For instance, a guy, the challenge is to eat, I don't know what it was. It was like 8 gallons of ice cream. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Well, how did he do that? Because after a certain while, even with the best tasting ice cream you can imagine, obviously you're going to get pushback from the body. Quit, stop.
Totally.
So how did he power through that? He ordered a plate of extra crispy, extra salty fries. So he would eat some ice cream, chow a few fries, reset the taster, so to speak, and now he's able to eat more ice cream, right? And food manufacturers know this, and they are in business to sell you food and to get you to eat more. So this is how they manipulate the whole fat, sugar, salt to eat. Another example, Doritos came out recently with I can't remember what the exact, anyway, there's different levels of heat in these chips. And I would bet it is based on the mathematical probability that they have what they call like an atomic heat in the chips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now that's gamification of eating. So people are eating all these chips, right? And hey, I got the atomic chip. Well, that works both psychologically and it works on your internal dopamine system to get you to eat more. It's just incredible.
And I know Rob's also talked about, that's phenomenal. I know Rob's also talked about the inflammatory component too, where, you may eat foods that have a higher degree of inflammation, whether because of their fatty acid profile or because of food allergen components in there. And that can actually increase your sugar levels via cortisol, via stress hormone. That could also prevent you from burning fat for fuel efficiently as well. Did Rob go into that in this talk at all?
Yeah, he did. And many people went through the discussion of, so the question being, if the ketogenic diet goes off the tracks, where does it go off the tracks? And when it does go off the tracks, it's not with the diet itself, it's with the application. So generally what happens is a type A personality who's already hard driving and, just probably not sleeping well, working too hard, yada, 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 too much stress on the body, now adopts a ketogenic diet and they're not going to ease into it. They're going to go full force into it. And what does that result? That's another stress on the body. It's more cortisol. It's more disruption in the body. And so, people, if it does go off the rails, that's a big portion of, or a big probability of why it went off the rails.
Totally. And that's the big thing, is the application component, because a lot of people listen to this and they're like, well, I don't think that's for me. Well, here's the thing that I notice with a lot of the people that I work with is, number one, if someone's on a higher carb type of kick, metabolically, their body's more of a sugar burner. So as we shift back to being more of a fat burner, they may get a little bit of kickback as it takes a few weeks to kind of keto adapt. But what I tell people, even if you feel a little bit better with more carbohydrates, think of ketogenic diet as like a spectrum. You're probably going to feel better being 80 to 70, 80, 90% more in that direction on the ketogenic side. You may not be 100%, but just pushing it more in that direction, you can still see benefits. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And you see this across the board from the experts talking about it. And I think one of the things too that I picked up is that nobody has to rush into this, right? Unless you have a condition like epilepsy where it's
right.
We need to shift quickly. But just for body comp, for overall health, we have time to ease into this. It doesn't have to be a punch in the face, and you don't have to go through the severe carb flu and anything like that. You can ease into this. And the other thing is, you're not going to get it right off the bat, right? So give yourself some leniency and tweak as you go along. Make it better. It's the old Zen thing, the Kaizen idea of, I'm going to be better tomorrow than I was today. So we just want to take progressive steps, give yourself some leniency, because one of the things also, when you talk to these experts, and I've noticed this myself and the people that I've trained, is whenever you start shifting somebody into a ketogenic diet, they want to subconsciously, just because of how we've been smacked with the fear of fat, they turn this into a high protein, moderate fat low carbohydrate diet that looks very much like an Atkins diet, right? And so you have to kind of talk them off the cliff there. Well, the ketogenic diet's not working for me. Well, let's go back and look at your macros and see where you sit. And many times it's a high protein, which is not the end of the world, right? But that's not the ketogenic diet.
Interesting. I've heard Dom talk about it, and maybe he talked about it in your interview with him. But the ketogenic diet kind of started off 90 to 92% fat, 6 to 8% protein, 1 to 2% carbohydrate, and this was primarily with kids that had epilepsy. Now, one of the things they found is there was an IGF-1 deficiency going that low protein for that long period of time. So these kids were like having stunted height, things like that. Yep. I know Dom, I think, posted some research over at, I want to say Duke, where they upped the protein to about 20 to 25%. They increased the IGF, which is beneficial to someone that's growing or wants to maintain muscle mass, but they were still able to keep all of those ketogenic benefits. So there's like that 20 to 25% threshold of protein that seems to be that upper level where you can still keep the benefits. So some people, they do it the traditional where it's super high fat, very low protein, and then there are some that they can kick it up a little bit and they can still get the happy medium. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I would say also that so the question came up quite a bit of can you do vegan keto? Right,
great question.
Kind of idea. And can you? Obviously, you can. Yeah, you can do that, but to rope back into the low protein side of things, there is a danger there, right? So, I mean, if you're going to absolutely have no animal products whatsoever, you can pull it off. You can pull off the ketogenic diet, but that protein requirement is still there, and that ropes right back around to Dom's the study that he cited. Something else I thought was very interesting. Are you familiar with Luis Villaseñor?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. So now this is a bodybuilding community, a heavy duty bodybuilding community that uses the ketogenic diet. And when you look at their protein intakes, it's not very high. It's about 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass, right? So they're not even taking the full body weight. They're looking at lean body mass. And when you run through the calculations there, that's not a whole lot of protein, right? And that's how they set their macros. They set it with protein first, using the amount of lean body mass you carry. But still, the old idea that bodybuilders need just massive amounts of protein, they've proven that wrong, and they've proven that wrong for many, many years. He's been in the game for quite a while.
So that was interesting. 0.8 grams per pound of lean.
Yeah.
So let's say, so let's say you're 200 pounds, and let's say maybe that's 10, 15%, let's say 15 to 20% fat. So you're sitting around maybe 160, 165 lean. And then when you do the math on that, that's what, 130 grams of protein or so a day?
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a lot compared to traditional bodybuilding requirements that, probably double that.
Yeah. So that's about 4 to 6 ounces of protein 3 times a day.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot.
Okay. Interesting.
By bodybuilding standards, anyway.
Yeah. And yourself, what are your macros like, and how much protein are you getting in a day? Maybe around 200 grams, 160?
Yeah, it fluctuates day to day because, I don't ever measure macros really at this point now.
Right.
I've gone through that period. I've done my measurements. I kind of know how it feels to be in ketosis.
Feel it out, yeah.
I know, yeah. So, I don't know. I know it varies. And it varies every day, but I can tell you the thumb rules that I use. I always opt for the fattiest cuts possible in my meats.
Yep.
And so that's number one. I'm going to have meat, but it's going to be the fattiest cut I can, given the option. Right. So just this weekend, I was out at a very nice restaurant in San Antonio. And I'm looking through the menu and I'm going, okay, how am I going to navigate this? Boom, I saw a ribeye.
Boom, so love it.
So I tell the waiter, I want the fattiest ribeye that the chef can find in the back. Of course, he looks at me like, are you crazy? I'm like, I want the fattiest ribeye that you can bring out. So it's just little tricks like that you learn along the way. How can I add fat into my intake? And where can I do that? Where can it taste better? And that's how I roll. So I'm beyond the actual measuring. But there is a place for that for people just coming into this diet, right? Because I've done this for years. I mean, it's just part of who I am. But somebody just coming into this diet is gonna have to do some weighing and measuring and tracking to get a feel for this.
Totally. And the way I kind of do it is very similar. I typically tell my patients a palm to a fist to a full hand of protein per meal. That's going to be dependent upon how active you are, how stressed you are, lifting weights, etc. 2 fists to 2 full hands of vegetables. And then depending on how we're at, a half a palm to a palm maybe of some berries as a good starting point. Or for cycling carbs, maybe a palm of sweet potatoes at night primarily. So I kind of do it similarly with something visual. That way you're not having to go to your Chronometer or MyFitnessPal and plug stuff in or pull out your bodybuilding scale and make it so, just create a higher level of anxiety every time you eat doing it that way. That way you always get your hands right there, right? So it's easy to see.
And that's what we want to do. We want to move as quickly as we can to this being just a very, very natural diet to where you don't even have to think about it. It just is. We want you to be able to end up to the point where you kind of know, you already go into the restaurant, you kind of know I'm probably going to have to order a la carte, which I do quite often, right? I'll just order stuff a la carte, and you just know the questions to ask.
Very cool.
It's just, yeah.
And we got some questions coming in. So listeners, if you're checking this out, leave us a chat here. We'll try to answer your question. Just keep it relevant to ketosis. Someone talks about here, how do you prevent ketosis from lowering your thyroid? I'll grab that one at first and I'll get your opinion. Number one, some of the early research on ketogenic diets and low thyroid used a lot of polyunsaturated fats. So we got to be careful with those because polyunsaturated fats, if heated, can easily oxidize and rancidify. Fish oils, those kind of things. So if we're eating whole fish, that's fine. But if we're adding in good, high quality saturated fats, they're much more heat stable, less chance of oxidation. And a lot of people I find have thyroid issues because of insulin resistance. So if you have a thyroid conversion issue or excess inflammation because of insulin resistance, a ketogenic diet can significantly help that. There are a small percent of the population that may have lower thyroid symptoms as they go more ketogenic. We typically can see them because they're already leaner, but that for me, that's my default starting point, is a lower carb in that ketogenic spectrum. And then if we have issues, we can progress the carbs upright and dial it in. Your thoughts, Keith?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that Justin, you went into that very discussion during your interview. So I would say, for the person who asked that question, be sure to watch your interview. Also, be sure to watch Elle Russ's interview as well. So Elle Russ is with she's with Mark Sisson's group, and I believe she still hosts their podcast.
Oh, very cool
podcast. But she's very, very knowledgeable on the female side of things, talking about thyroid issues, because she's one of these people who is self-educated. And she had severe thyroid issues, and she had to navigate this. And so she knows a lot about thyroid and the female side of things. So both of those interviews, yours and Elle Russ's, I think.
And that's a question we get a lot about ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting and female hormones and thyroid. I'm going to refer everyone, make sure you subscribe down below and get access to that, because that talk's going to be next week. So make sure you sign up so you can get access to it. And then also another person writes in, how important is liver health when doing ketosis? My take on it is, number one, carbohydrate is going to be the most, excess carbohydrate is going to be the most damaging thing to the liver, primarily fructose. It upregulates these enzymes in the liver called the JNKY enzymes, junk for short. Very inflammatory, and that's where we kind of have that non-alcoholic steatotic hepatitis. That's the fatty liver from excess carbs. I find a ketogenic diet incredibly liver protective as long as we're trying to eat grass-fed, organic, pasture-fed things, because we know the fat can accumulate a lot of toxins, so more organic. And then the other question I get all the time, I want to get your take on it, is, a ketogenic diet's going to hurt my kidney function. I have low kidney function. Rob Wolf did a case study on this about 3 years ago where he had someone with 10% kidney function. He got them on like a 90% fat diet, and he was able to get their kidney function back to 100%, because when your kidneys are already weaker, protein, it's not going to cause the issue, but it's going to be a stressor on the kidneys to begin with. So doing super, super low protein, super high fat can help with, I see, liver and kidney function. Your take?
Yeah, I was just going to second everything you said. Very protective for those organs. And something that that just hit me when we were talking about liver, this is completely tangential to that particular question, but I asked Chris Kresser. Chris Kresser's another speaker in here in the summit, and I asked him about organ meats and especially liver.
Yes.
And his take on that is, even with a CAFO-raised animal, even in that situation, the liver does not necessarily hold toxins.
Yes.
It's the job of body fat to hold toxins. It's the clearinghouse of that. So I guess my point is, whenever we're talking about eating, especially animal fats, let's try to move and I know it's not doable for everybody in their situation right now, but as soon as you can, start migrating over to humanely raised, pasture raised animals and try to get out of the whole CAFO, confined animal, what the hell is it? Something operation. Feeding operation.
Anyway. Feeding operation.
So conventionally raised meat. So let's try to move towards grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised animals, because that toxin buildup in the fat, and you want to eat the fat. I mean, that's the goal line, and you want it to be relatively toxin-free.
100%. And this question I get a lot. Sam writes in here. But I actually got this intel from someone that spoke at your Paleo FX conference last year. So we'll put a little plug for Paleo FX that's coming up the end of April down in Austin. But Jordan Rubin spoke, and he talked about the amino acid profile in collagen as having less effect of increasing gluconeogenesis. And that's some of the things we worry about when we eat excess protein, some of that converting to sugar and pulling us out of a ketogenic state. What's your take on maybe, smaller amounts of collagen, maybe to your coffee or to your water, or throwing it in your smoothie as a way of getting some protein in, but not enough to throwing you out of ketosis? What's your take on that?
Yeah, for that very reason, Michelle generally keeps a vat of bone broth going 24/7, 365 here. And what I do, so that's already pretty collagen heavy because we use a lot of chicken feet, or she does. She uses a lot of chicken feet in that. But I also add collagen powder to that mix and blend it up. So yes, for that very reason, I will add extra collagen into my, and so that does account for a good portion of my protein intake.
Great. Yeah. When people are thinking about protein in their head, kind of draw a line between like muscle meat protein, organ meat protein, and connective tissue, ligament, tendons, hide, cartilage. So kind of draw that line. So the big thing is just that we want to be very careful of the excess muscle meat. That's why you're doing the ribeye where there's more fat and stuff in there. That's awesome. Oh, by the way, quick question for me. This is kind of a selfish question. Who has the best ribeyes in Austin? What do you think?
Wow, in Austin, I don't know. I was in San Antonio at the Dominion in San Antonio is where I was. When I'm in Austin, I'm a barbecue guy. So if we're talking barbecue, I'll give you this tip, Justin. Go to Friedman's.
Friedman's, awesome.
Friedman's, the bar downtown. It's on 24th and San Gabriel, I think, somewhere in that area. It's a bar, but they have an expert grill master there, and the barbecue is just insanely off the chain. So when I'm in Austin, I'm a barbecue guy.
I love it. Here's my top three for Austin: Perry's downtown on 7th Street.
Yes.
The Three Forks. Three Forks, Cesar Chavez, and then I would say the Roaring Fork number 3. The Roaring Fork used to have grass-fed steaks 3 years ago. They pulled them off the menu, but those are my top 3. And then if you go to Three Forks, get the King's Butter. It's just absolutely
nice. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and at Perry's, that pork chop.
Whew. Oh, Friday, that pork chop, man. And it's too bad they got a little bit of barley malt glaze in it. It's like 0.01% gluten. I'm like, dude, you got to figure out a way. But I just go there with some activated charcoal and some DPP4 enzymes to knock it out. But totally.
Yeah.
Any other last questions, comments, anything else you want to mention here, Keith, about the summit or anything else?
Man, I would just really, really encourage people to dive into this deal. I mean, 20 experts, all of whose interviews are between an hour and a half. It's just so much knowledge and so much information. And each one of these interviewees is offering up free material as well, their own personal material. so this package is just immense. There's just so much information there, and I would highly encourage people to jump on it. During this rollout week, so starting yesterday going to the 9th of February, you can get this entire package for $79.
Love it.
After the 9th, it's going to go up. It's only going to go up a little bit. It's going to go up to $99. But jump in now, get it for $79. And I'm telling you, Justin's interview by itself is worth $79. I'm telling you, there's so much information, and you're going to want to have this package at your disposal, because I'm telling you, you're going to go through these interviews, and you're going to want to stop, pause, rewind, watch it again later, Google some stuff, or do some research, write notes, and you want to be able to do that. And the price point is low enough to where that's accessible. And you want to get your PhD in keto? I'm telling you, you're gonna get it. After all these interviews, Justin, my head is about exploded, and I finished talking with all people Dom D'Agostino. And I told him before the interview, I'm like, man, my brain is already burnt, and I know this is going to totally do it in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He went deep. It was a normal Dom D'Agostino conversation.
Absolutely love it. And I subscribed as well. So I get in the videos emailed to myself personally. And at my lunch break, I'm firing them up and I'm going through it, because it's a lot of clinical knowledge. So if you're a practitioner listening, there's still phenomenal information for you to be able to apply. And as a patient or someone coming in that's lay on this, there's going to be so much information. It's going to be like drinking out of a fire hose. But there's phenomenal speakers, so they teach the information really well. I know Rob Wolf does an amazing job, and I know Dom does as well. So lots of information, but great teachers. And also, I want to plug Paleo FX again, because a lot of these people in this summit are going to be speaking at Paleo FX. So if you feel a connection with any of the people here, the next best step is to sign up for Paleo FX and make a trip down to Austin before it gets hot and see some of these people in person.
Yeah, because it will get hot. So
I'm glad you put the seminar a month earlier this year with Paleo. That's great.
Yeah, because even in May, it's starting to get a little steamy here. Yeah, we had to fight the Palmer to get that April date, but I think we've got them. Locked in now. We're a big enough event now to where we have some sway and some muscle behind us, and we could. But yeah, the good thing about an online summit is it's online. You can see it anywhere in the world. You can take part. The bad part about an online summit is it's online, and you don't get to have those people face to face, have that intimate conversation. You rub elbows with like-minded people and just get that tribe vibe.
100%
that you get from an event.
Love it.
So
we're going to put the links below for Paleo FX and Keto FX. So if you guys are interested, that's the next logical step. It's a no-brainer to subscribe and just get the information first and at least kick the tires. And then you're going to want to go the whole 9 yards. Keith, it was awesome having you on the show, man. Lots of knowledge bombs. I look forward to the summit unfolding over the next 2 weeks. And you have a phenomenal day.
Absolutely. Take care, Justin.
Take care, Keith.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to beyondwellnessradio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.